Have you ever wanted to see an up-close insight into the boots that Cristiano Ronaldo actually wears on the pitch during games? Well, in today's video we're going to be reviewing this pair of his custom Nike Mercurial Vapor Superfly 3s, which were issued to him during the 2010-11 season with Real Madrid. So stick around and watch the entire review if you'd like to see every detail on this pair. So then let's take a look at the boots themselves. As you would imagine, Cristiano Ronaldo has made a lot of modifications to this pair over the standard retail version. Now, whilst the majority of these have been well disguised and hidden by Nike, they are rather significant in separating them from the standard version of the Superfly 3, which, as we all know, was never really a very good performing boot.
Hit it well! Oh my goodness! What a goal! And that's even better than his first. It was simply unstoppable. Breathtaking stuff from Ronaldo.
Kevin, two goalkeepers wouldn't have saved that. And that's what.
So as you can imagine, with CR7 being Nike's top sponsored elite athlete, he is their poster boy for their football division. So of course they're going to cater to his exact needs. Any specifications that he requires, they will meet in his footwear. So this pair is no different if we take a look at the upper first of all. So it's still constructed of the Tasian synthetic material, which you'd find on the retail version. However, it is a remastered version of that, if you like. So the retail version was pretty much rock solid and it required a lot of braking time, and even after braking time it was never really soft enough to use properly. The material on Ronaldo's pair is incredibly soft, custom made just for him, so that he can wear them straight out of the box and have no braking times. Obviously someone like Ronaldo, who is using these boots day in, day out, needs them to be comfortable first and foremost. So if we take a look at just how soft they are, just one finger and you can push the entire upper down. If we compare that to the toe box of a retail version, well, this is not a retail pair, but the upper is the same. It's incredibly stiff and it does not really flex naturally. Sort of just pops back into shape. Whereas if we take a look at Ronaldo's again, you'll notice that it's incredibly soft. Now, due to the softness, Nike have actually added fly wire cables in the toe box area. These run from the lateral side right round to the medial side in the forefoot area. Now there are 3 cables which run across the top of the toe box area, which just gives that part of the boot some stability and some additional structure. Now there were actually many other players at the elite level who had these same fly wire cables added to the toe box area of their Superflies. So if we take a look here, this is a pair of Robinho's Superfly 2s, however they are pretty much the same boot as the Superfly 3. But if we take a look here, you'll notice the fly wire cables, the same amount running from the same area right round onto the medial side.
Because you think he might smash it there.
He smashed it into the back of the net. It gets even better for Cristiano Ronaldo. A shot of superlatives. And David James might have been playing in the Premier League since its very first weekend in 1992. He hasn't seen many past him.
Well, I have to say I'm running out of words to describe this lad. Look at that ball. It is a totally unique way of striking the football at a dead ball, that he can hit it so hard.
Now, one point that is actually rather interesting whilst we're on the topic of flywire is that the Superfly 3 model added an additional lace hole on either side of the boot. Now that lace hole had additional flywire cables coming off of it and running right around the heel. Ronaldo's pair have absolutely no flywire coming off of that additional lace hole on either side. Now that is due to the fact that the heel area is incredibly stiff. It's actually been reinforced. It's a lot thicker than what you'd find on the standard Superfly 3. Now this can be seen as the cables that run across the heel are not as proud and as obvious as what you'd find on a standard pair, just due to the fact that the material in that area is a lot thicker than what you'd find on a normal pair. So the flywire setup that you'd find from here is essentially the same as the Superfly 2. which is a boot that Ronaldo was obviously fond of. There were not many major changes from the 2 to the 3, so it was just something that he did not see the need to have added to his Superfly 3s, when from a distance they do look the same as a retail pair anyway. So it's a good job on disguising by Nike.
It's into the path of Cristiano Ronaldo. Ronaldo turns into trouble. Brilliant footwork. Amazing goal for Cristiano Ronaldo. Vintage Ronaldo. He's the man.
Showed a really good turn of speed, and it comes just seconds after.
Now, as you'll notice, this pair do have his iconic initials embroidered into the lateral side of each boot. Just CR in his famous font. Now, he did have this on the majority of his boots around that era. He did sometimes have CR7 or just CR, but since 2017 he has added family members' names to his boots as well, whereas he used to, back in the day, keep it very minimalistic with just his initials or the addition of his squad number to his initials. In terms of sizing, this is actually where it gets rather interesting. As with all of Nike's top sponsored players' boots, where they completely custom make them to measure to their exact specifications, they do not add in size labels, and this pair are no different. So as you can see here, the underside of the tongue is totally blank. Now, usually this is because the players do not wear a generic size. It is completely custom to their measurements, and they do not need to know the details, as it's not actually going to be sold on retail anyway. This pair were made in Montebelluna, which is in Italy, where Nike have their athlete services factory. There are a lot of rumours online about what size Ronaldo actually wears. Some people think it's a size UK 10, some people think it's a UK 7. This pair do measure in length to be around a UK 8 to 8.5. However, the shape is slightly different, so the profile is incredibly high. You'll notice here the toe box goes straight up, rather than a lot of players having a lower profile, which suggests that he is wearing boots that are extremely tight.
Too far for Ronaldo to think about it. Oh! Absolutely sensational! It went through Almunia, beaten for pace. And Manchester United have...
Due to the boots being completely custom made, instead of applying an internal size label, Nike usually do write inside a number. This number is an identification number of the player's foot last, which is a mould of their exact shape of their feet inside the factory. So they write this number inside the boots usually to identify the boots as that player. So here, in the case of Ronaldo's, we can see the number written in the heel there with absolutely no size label. If we take a further look inside the boots, we'll notice that the interior lining is completely custom. So Ronaldo's pair feature a black nylon type of material which lines the entirety of the boot from the midfoot forwards. Now, there are actually additional lines of stitching which run on both the lateral and the medial sides. These may be there just for additional support, but this is obviously something that you would not find in the retail version at all.
Ronaldo, they all back away from him again, and he shoots. Oh, it's got in! A second goal, a thunderbolt from Ronaldo. Real Madrid are looking unbeatable here. We knew on.
Where the retail version upper was 2 pieces of Tajin synthetic material fused together with the fly wire technology incorporated in between, it was thick enough to provide its own stability. The reason Nike have added this black nylon material to Ronaldo's pair is because the exterior layer is so thin that it needs additional support. So this nylon material inside provides additional stability, as well as the additional lines of stitching. Now, if we take a look at the toe board, it actually does state Superfly 2 rather than Superfly 3, which again indicates that this pair are more the same as the previous model than the actual Superfly 3.
Wouldn't be in range for many, but for this man, certainly. Oh, what a goal! Most certainly! Courtois completely bamboozled. It's 50.
Now, another element of this pair which further indicates that Cristiano likes the barefoot feel is the insoles. So these are completely custom made to his exact requirements. If we take a look here, it states created to the exact specifications of Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, this pair have been made incredibly thin, pretty much paper thin. Now if we take a closer look at the heel area, you'll notice that Nike have actually crafted in an overhang at the rear where the heel actually overhangs the sole plate itself. So this suggests that the sole plate is slightly too short for the player's foot. Now Harry Kane is another player who has this. It does just suggest that the players who have that do like their boots to be a completely glove-like fit with absolutely no room in there at all. Some players like it, some players don't, but as we do know, Ronaldo does like to wear boots that are slightly too small for him, just to create that barefoot feel. So the insoles further suggest that, as well as the overhang in the heel area. Now if we take a look at the sole plate of this pair, again, further to point that these are more similar to a Superfly 2 than a 3, the sole plate is identical. So the Superfly 3 featured the plastic outer material being a tinted colour. On this launch colourway, this was a purple tint, and there was also a Nike swoosh in the midfoot. This pair did not have either of those, which again just separates them from a standard retail pair. They do however incorporate the scent studs. Lots of players switch these out, but Ronaldo did actually stick with these on his FG pairs of Superfly 2s and 3s. Here on the right is a pair of Aaron Lennon's match-worn Superfly 3s. This is just an example of a pair which incorporated the Vapor 7 stud configuration as opposed to the Superfly version, which essentially was the same sole plate, it just got rid of the scent studs, keeping the carbon flat.
Suddenly red shirts flooding back, chance for Cristiano Ronaldo! 2-2! And Ronaldo becomes the first player to score at 4 different European Championship finals.
Now you'll also notice that Cristiano has hand signed each boot to the lateral side of the upper. Finding specifically custom made boots for players like Ronaldo is incredibly difficult, especially acquiring hand signed pairs. This pair is so unique with all of the modifications as well as the autograph to each boot. Ronaldo is one of the best players the game has ever seen, arguably the best. His numbers speak for themselves. He's done it in multiple leagues, internationally, and he's still doing it at his age of 36. The value of Ronaldo's actual boots is always on the rise, especially given the fact that they are so sought after, with very, very few pairs actually out there on the market. There are only a handful of genuine pairs just like these out there in the world. Okay guys, that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. I hope it was an interesting insight into the actual boots that Cristiano Ronaldo wears. If you did like the video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos that are coming soon. If there are any specific pairs that you would like to be reviewed, please do check the website at www.bcboots.uk and write in the comments section below which pair you would like to be reviewed next.